you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this edition of Connect with Me, live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Thursday morning. Today we're talking about prescription drug use, or should I say overuse. How about overdosing? 436 MeTV, option 11, turn down the sound. If you have kids, grandkids, nephews, nieces, might want to watch. Back in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And welcome back to the showroom floor here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. You're watching us live, of course, on Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6. And I don't think we're breaking news here on Connect with Me by telling you that, there is drug use that is rampant around this country, around our community here, around our schools. That's not breaking news. We all know that. The problem is making people aware of it, and what do you do about it? That is the major problem. And today we're going to kind of focus again on prescription drugs. Our guest today has been here before, but he's going to talk about something different. We're going to take a little bit of a different theme on this major topic today. Let's go to the videotape, show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about prescription drugs. Last time our guest was here, he warned us about the abuse of these drugs in both high school, middle school, and yes, as early as elementary school. You might recall that conversation. You know, it's all going on right here in the Central Valley in our own schools, right under our very noses, believe it or not. In fact, prescription overdoses kills more people than car accidents. That, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and it also kills more people than heroin and cocaine combined. It's amazing what they do with these drugs. These young people, they feel the pressure to perform in school. They try to please their parents. Hello, all you parents out there. They simply feel the need to release, and I guess this is one way to do it. On this show now, it's time to make people, parents, more specifically aware of this problem, and what can they do about it? That's the question. Are you aware, and what can you do about it? Live in our studio is Flindt Andersen, the executive director and the founder of Pain Prescription Abusers in Need program. It's his second appearance here on Connect with Me. This show is only a half an hour, so the last time he was here, I wish we had 60 minutes of talk time, because we did have a lot of phone calls. 436 MeTV option 11. If you decide to call in, turn down the sound. And if you have kids, if you have grandkids, if you have friends, maybe neighbor next door or down the street that has kids that you think might be doing these drugs, you know, it's easier than you think to get hooked on prescription drugs, especially painkillers. We're back with our program in just a moment.
1 Adam 12.
This is Adam 12. It stars Martin Milner as Officer Pete Malloy, Kent McCord as Officer Jim Reed.
1 Adam 12, roger.
This black and white patrol car has an overhead valve V8 engine. It develops 325 horsepower at 4,800 RPMs. It accelerates from 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It has a top speed of 120 miles an hour. The automobile has 2 shotgun racks, one attached to the bottom portion of the front seat, one in the vehicle trunk.
You want me to drive?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Not against taking prescription pain medication. Everybody at some point needs it, whether it's Tylenol or something a lot more stronger than that. But Flindt Andersen is here to talk about that. And I guess the last time you were here, we kind of didn't have enough time because the half hour goes by really quick. We have a phone call already. You see that?
Great, absolutely fantastic.
All right, you're on Connect with Me. Good morning, and your question.
I'm sorry, it's not on your topic, but I'm asking you this because I've been trying to get a hold of you and have been missing you. Would you please run a show on Proposition 13? They are really getting ready to eliminate it, and it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to the taxpayer who has a home. Could you put a show on for that? Thank you.
No problem. I appreciate it. I wish you had a question about prescription drugs, but Prop 13 is important too.
Right, absolutely it is.
Okay, so how do you make people aware?
Well, John, the first thing is by getting to the schools, because if we can get into the schools, if we can make presentations to the junior highs, the high schools, and the parent groups that are in those junior high and high schools, we believe that is critical for us at this time.
Are the schools resistant to that, or do they realize themselves, when I say the schools, the administration, the people in charge, are they aware and are they a willing partner?
First of all, they are aware, and it's not a matter of them not wanting us there. I think it's more that it's just another brick that's added to the pile for teachers and administrators to do. But again, the fact of the matter remains is that this problem is with us. It's not going away. It's been with us for quite some time now. And so until the school districts really try to focus on how we can reach the parents, they're going to continue to deal with this problem.
Yeah, and most of the children that you see that are hooked on these drugs, how early does it start? Don't tell me third grade or something like that.
No, absolutely not. But normally around 12 years of age, sixth grade, and then of course seventh, and eighth graders. You've got, 36.8% of eighth graders that are smoking marijuana on a regular basis. It's definitely. And by the way, one of the stats that I just came up with is the fact that 1 in 10 kids under the age of 18 are prescribed a narcotic painkiller on a yearly basis. That's 1 in 10.
I'll bet a lot of those are athletes.
A lot of them are athletes, you bet.
Wrestling,
right?
Football,
baseball,
pitchers
in particular,
basketball,
right?
Somebody throws their arm out, they're not throwing properly. Boom, there goes the painkiller, there goes the addiction.
Right.
Is that how it starts?
That's how it starts, and then of course, they've probably taken a few out of the bottle. They're stuck back up in the medicine cabinet, of course, and nobody really goes in to check to see how many pills are missing out of that bottle. So once the child starts to take them, then they go back in, they take a couple more, and then it starts.
Flindt, here's what I want to know. How in the heck does a fifth grader or a sixth grader get a hold of these prescription drugs? And how is their brain wired to the point at that age to know, hey, I'm going to take a drug?
I'm going to step out a little bit here, okay? Because a lot of it has to do with the internet. A lot of it has to do with what they watch on television, what parents are allowing their kids to watch on TV. You can go on your phone, you can go on your iPad, you can go anywhere, and we glamorize almost the drug use. It's gotten to the point where people just don't care anymore. They go in, they take the medication. Again, the parents are oblivious to what's going on.
Why?
I think
too busy working?
I think the parents are too busy working. I think that parents do not want to even understand or even think that their kid is capable of doing something like this, when in fact they are, because it's very easy to hide. You can't smell it. They're not walking into walls and those kinds of things. So it's a very easy high to hide.
You talked about glamorizing this thing, and the famous people who have overdosed. I want to roll the videotape, and maybe you'll recognize some of these people up there. Flindt, you can look at the monitor and just kind of, talk over what we're seeing here. There's one. I mean,
James Dean.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood really glamorizes drugs to a certain extent. Even in the movie that DiCaprio is in right now, The Wolf of Wall Street,
right?
It's kind of glamorized.
You bet it is.
The use of drugs.
Right. You bet it is. And again, in a movie like that, there really isn't. They really don't project the actual consequence that happens. There's a consequence at the end of the movie, obviously, but the fact of the matter is that once you leave the movie, you forget about that consequence. You just remember the glamorization of it.
Yeah, look at some of the famous people up there.
Amy Winehouse.
That's exactly right. Yeah, dead. And I did see an interview with DiCaprio, and he did say that he wanted that role, and Hollywood, as I said, glamorizes, but the fact that he wanted it, it's because he knew he could play that part because growing up he was around drugs.
Right.
He didn't use them, he claims,
Right.
but he saw drug use and abuse in his
Right.
neighborhood at the early age of 5.
Right.
So if he didn't get hooked on drugs being around there, it is possible that, hey, you can be in that atmosphere, that environment, and not get hooked.
Yeah, but chances are you're going to, or you're at least going to experiment with it. Not everybody gets hooked on the drugs, but there's lots of people that experiment with it, and then why even take the chance?
Well, that's true. And then you've had the 2 recent episodes, Julia Roberts, her half-sister.
Right.
And then the other famous actor,
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right. That's a whole nother deal with him.
Okay.
Simply because he's had a number of years sober. He's had, I believe, 23 years of sober, and then he relapsed back into this. Again, parents don't realize that the general public doesn't realize as a whole that this addiction never goes away. It simply never goes away.
But here's the thing about Hoffman. He slipped back into it just by sipping alcohol. Mm-hmm. Okay, after 23 years of being dry,
Right.
he just sipped it. How did that lead to heroin?
Again, in my recovery, I don't drink, I don't smoke pot, I don't do those things.
Yeah.
Because those are gateway drugs, and for whatever reasons, they have a tendency to lead us back into our original drug of choice.
So alcohol kind of led him down that original path?
You bet it did. And plus, it's also coupled with the fact that, again, I'm guessing here, but I don't believe that he actually was working a full recovery program the entire time he was clean and sober.
Yeah, and so that put him behind the 8 ball,
Right.
I'm sure. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me.
Hi, good morning. Can you request, like, blister packs at the pharmacy if you're taking, like, dangerous pain relief that might fall into the hands of your kids? Nobody's going to take the time when they're hurting to count the number of pills that are left in the bottle. I'm wondering, could you say to the pharmacist, hey, give it to me in a blister pack, that way I can make a quick accounting for it? I don't know. I'm wondering, I've never really had the experience, but I figured your guest probably had.
I'm not quite sure on that one, but to be honest with you, what we do to parents, we instruct them to take their meds and at least get them in a locked box somewhere, so the child can't get to them. There are actually home building companies now that are making the medicine cabinet with a lock on it. And so only one responsible person in the house can have the key. But those are a couple ways to keep them out of their hands.
You can buy a safe.
Sure,
I
absolutely.
mean,
We have lots
people
of parents do that.
I mean, that's very common. People have safes. Anyway, we're talking with Flindt Andersen, of course, talking about drug abuse, overuse here, 436, MeTV, option 11. Wait a minute, we're not doing it here. I'm saying we're here today. Back with our program in just a moment.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on our program today with a serious topic about prescription drugs, 436 MeTV option 11 if you want to call in. And Flindt, talking about awareness again, is there any other way to get the word out besides visiting all these schools?
There is, obviously, through television and radio and those kinds of methods. The other thing is getting our community more and more involved in this. One thing that kind of drives me a little on the crazy side is we'll take Philip Seymour Hoffman again. You have the news that comes out and makes this grand, news story about his death, and then it slowly fades away after about a week. And then it doesn't ever get brought up again. It seems to be that in the news media, it only seems to happen when somebody famous dies. We need to be constantly reminding people, constantly via television commercials, again, via radio announcements, whatever the case may be, that there are places for parents to go, places to go to become aware of what is going on, that's possibly going on in your own house.
Yeah. And to find out, again, what are the steps that parents should take to find out if their own child is on drugs? What can they do, not only from a parental standpoint, but from a legal standpoint? What are they entitled to do, a parent?
Well, again, I make this real simple, John. You drug test your child. It's very simple, in my opinion. If you suspect that there's any kind of drug use whatsoever, or even if you don't suspect and you just want to find out, I would definitely drug test your child with a 10-panel urine test that can determine if they're taking something right then and there.
Can you take it, that urine sample, to your place?
Actually, you can read it right off of that sample, right off of that test.
How do you do that?
We will send them to a place that will allow them to buy these full 10-panel tests for about $10.
Is it like a strip?
It's a strip.
Okay.
That the child will, urinate in the cup.
And that strip will immediately
tell whether it's opiates, whether it's painkillers, whether it's marijuana, whether it's alcohol, cocaine, meth, ecstasy, all the big ones.
So it's like checking your blood sugar, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar.
And you'll know right then and there. You do not have to send it to a lab.
Yeah. Are there other ways you can tell if your son or your daughter might be influenced and might be on the stuff?
Sure. Behavioral changes, obviously. Weight loss, weight gain. Is their normal 16-year-old anger escalating? Is it becoming worse? Have they kind of gotten rid of their old friends and now are there new friends hanging around? Are there people coming over their house at 10 o'clock at night who they've never seen before? Again, are they locking the bathroom doors and staying in the bathrooms too long, or even locking their doors to their bedrooms? Are they finding things like tape in the bedrooms and empty cans? Are they seeing tinfoil in their bedrooms? All these are signs of drug abuse.
Mood swings, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Big time mood swings.
Mood swings. Are their grades, the typical stuff, are their grades dropping? Are they just kind of listless? Or are they too excitable? There's all these different, and they can go to our website too, and they can check out all the signs and symptoms and the drug language and all those things that we provide for parents.
Yeah, and it's changing each and every day in the drug world.
You bet.
I mean, there's something new coming out all the time that these kids are experimenting with.
Right.
Primarily with prescription drugs. When you were here last time, we were talking about the parties that they're having with these drugs. Mm-hmm. And the parties that they're having, are they just mixing numerous drugs together in like one bowl?
Yes.
Like you could have OxyContin and maybe something else,
yes,
and then something else, like 5 different drugs in there?
Right, and it could not even be an opiate. I mean, it could be a heart medicine, because what they do is they just kind of steal them out of their parents' medicine cabinets.
It could be blood pressure
medication. It could be blood pressure medicine, you bet. And they mix it all with everything. They're called farm parties. And then they just kind of mix them in a bowl and take handfuls and see what happens. And so there's, again, there's so much potential death that can come from these parties. But again, the fact remains is that the prescription drugs, we've actually seen a slight drop in OxyContin use among teenagers. It's not much, it's about 1.5%, but that's simply because the OxyContin pill is too expensive on the street. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing an increase in heroin use, and again, parents are going to, they're going to probably disagree with me on this, but we're seeing an increase in heroin use in the high schools, even locally here in Fresno.
Gee whiz.
Because it's $10
so
a bag.
Are these kids, are they wanting to just have fun, or are they wanting to hurt themselves?
I think it's a combination of both, but it's probably more just wanting to have fun. I think all of us in high school, we all experimented with things. I don't care who you are or how old you are.
But I never did that.
Well, right. We never. Yeah. Well, I did.
I never took. I never took a bunch of pills, like hundreds of pills, and
right,
tried experimenting.
Right. It's a little different today. But even for the young person that just wants to go out and kind of experiment around a little bit, they don't understand the pharmacological side of these drugs and how addictive they are.
Is it a little bit? I'm making the analogy. Is it a little bit like experimenting with sex? A little bit? Kind of the same analogy.
Kind of.
You want to find out what's going on. Hey, how is this? Because kids experiment with everything.
They do.
Sex, drugs,
and rock and roll,
and videotapes,
and exactly. But again, there's danger in both of those.
So it's natural to want to experiment. The unnatural part is to OD on everything.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. You know, we're seeing a lot of overdoses, and again, not necessarily deaths from the overdoses, but they're coming so often now. You know, because of the mixture of the drugs. Even places like Philadelphia with heroin use, they're actually manufacturing a drug called fentanyl, which is a medical drug that they use for surgeries and those kinds of things. But they're manufacturing this on the street, mixing it with the heroin and not telling the heroin user that it's mixed with fentanyl. And so the powerfulness of those two drugs are killing people right and left.
All right, talking to Flindt Andersen about drug overdoses here in the Central Valley. We're going to be back with our program 436 MeTV Option 11 back in a moment.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Hey, back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno. And how can a child beat the urine test? How can they circumvent around it? And if they're on it, hey, you're not going to catch me.
Right, and that is one of the keys to parents home testing their child. They have to watch them. It's real simple. Because
what are the tricks that they're using? Do you know?
Well, I never like to really say it too loud in case somebody's watching. But
I got it.
Every young person does know how to beat a drug test. Every older person, heck, I know how to beat one. All right, so that's why it's so important that they watch them actually urinate in the cup.
I don't know how to beat one.
Well, all you have to do is go online, and then you can.
Everything's online.
Everything's online.
Everything is online.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
Hey, last time you were here, we put up some schools that we focused on. I want to put those up one more time. The 7 top high schools. There's the list right there. You can see it for yourself there, Flindt. In fact, you gave it to me.
Right.
So when you say the top 7, what does that mean?
Those schools are based on the number of clients that we see. Number of parents that come through our doors. 95% of our clientele is north of Shaw Avenue. And so these are the schools. Even though we know that the Roosevelts and the Edisons and Sunnysides, they have drug issues as well. It's mostly with marijuana or meth, those kinds of drugs. So these schools, again, 95% of our clientele. You know, we see probably more Clovis Unified kids than we see anywhere else.
And if there's a school that's not on that top 7 list, that doesn't mean that drug overdoses there or overusing is not prevalent.
Correct.
Because they may not be going to your place.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. All these high schools, all the junior highs, they're all dealing with this issue.
Yeah.
Okay? They're all dealing with it. There is no question in our minds. There's no question in the school district's minds. This is an issue. And I'll be honest with you, if a school tells you that they don't have a problem with it, I'm going to disagree very strongly with them because I know better.
What can law enforcement do?
You know, law enforcement, I really respect law enforcement, but there's not a whole lot they can do other than continuing to do what they do as far as trying to, get to the source. But, John, again, we can try to stop all the drugs that are coming in illegally and legally, but unless you stop the demand for it, it's very simple economics. It's supply and demand. If you stop the demand, it's going to stop the supply. And so how do you do that? You do it through education. You do it through educating parents, mostly. But the sad fact and the sad truth of this is that when these kids start to use this stuff, and once they get to that point of kind of no return, the addiction almost has to run its course. They almost have
like the flu?
Like the flu. It almost has to run its course. Sometimes it takes years to get somebody into treatment because they're afraid You know, one of the biggest things for drug addicts, and I was the same way, you know, we're afraid to get clean because we don't want to we're afraid to be without our drug. We're afraid to go through the detox process. You know, we're afraid of getting caught. You know, it's the shame and guilt. And I'm not talking about when you first use it. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 years into the disease. You know, now you've crossed the line over into the dark side, and you really don't know how to get out.
So do a lot of these kids and even adults like yourself, do they feel like once they're in the system, that it's like no turning back?
Right.
That's the fear?
That's the fear.
You
That's
can't,
the fear.
but you're here to say you can turn back.
Absolutely, you can. But it's hard, it's long, all right? There's going to be ups and downs during recovery, and that's what kind of upsets me about the Philip Seymour Hoffman thing. You know, here, first of all, it's just a waste of talent.
He had everything to live for.
Everything to live for. He left 3 children behind, again, like Michael Jackson left his children behind. Heath Ledger lost his children behind.
How do you explain that?
It's
when the
almost,
guy he had money, he had fame, he had a great family, he had 3 kids to live for.
Right.
What is he doing?
Again, that's the mystery of addiction. You know,
you can't explain it, can you?
You can't. But what I can explain is that if you are following a recovery program, your chances of staying clean and sober increase tenfold.
Yeah.
If you don't follow a recovery program, then your chances decrease enormously, all right, to maintain that
sobriety. So you're saying somebody can't quit on their own? I'm just going to quit on a cold turkey on my own. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'm sure there's people that have, and my hat goes off to them. But 99% of us recovering drug addicts and alcoholics cannot do it on our own. It's that simple. And I will argue with anybody on that fact.
I guess it depends on the circumstance and the person, the individual. How long can a person live like that before they die?
Actually, they can live for years. You know, I had a
on addiction?
You bet. I had a 23-year addiction. You know, but it was slowly coming to an end. You know, in 2001, I weighed 150 pounds. People actually thought I had AIDS. I was so thin. I probably had about 6 more months, you know, to live.
To live.
Right.
Yeah.
When, you know, when things started going south real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can live for a number of years on it. I see people out there all the time, you know, that have had that 20, 30-year addiction. But it's just no way to live.
Can you, when you spot a child, like say a teenager, 15, 16 years old, maybe 13, even as young as 11 or 12, with your experience, can you instantly, if I place that child in front of you, can you instantly tell, okay, that he's on something?
I would probably say 80% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, the other 20%, it could be a mental health issue. It could be something else, you know, going on.
So you'd have about an 80% accuracy rate in guessing.
And the reason being is simply because I was one. I was a drug addict. You know, I know the signs and symptoms. I know what to look for. I know all the games. I know the cons. I do. It's not something I wanted on my resume, by the way, but.
Call for help. I think we have do we have a graphic on that? We're going to put that up right now before we go because we only got about a minute left. So talk about this real quick here, the call for help.
Okay, this is our phone numbers. You can call us anytime. Anybody can call us. We'll come in, we'll talk to you. We'll try to get you the help you need. We refer to about 2 places in Fresno. We refer to 1 inpatient place in Southern California. I'm very picky on where I refer to. So we've got a great staff behind us, and we can get you the help that you need.
Yeah, you do. How long have you been in business now?
We're going into our 5th year.
Wow, you must be very proud.
We are. We've sent over 95 people to treatment in the last year and a half. We've seen over 600 families in that time, and so we're pretty proud of what we do.
Flindt, you ought to be commended. You're saving lives in the Central Valley. Continue to do so, and you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Flindt Andersen, he's the Executive Director of the Pain Prescription Abusers in Need program. He is also the founder. That's going to do it for us today on Connect with Me. We're back with another edition here tomorrow on MeTV Fresno.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want. Save now on Frigidaire's advanced affinity laundry pair. Let Frigidaire save you energy, water, and time. Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
Do you like me?
Just like me.
Like MeTV Fresno on Facebook. Get the latest news, interact with others, watch videos, become a fan of me. Exclusively brought to you by Ventura TV.